but there's simply nothing else to talk about, and I feel like it's your attention to this. First of all, I should be and second of all, this is actually really great news that I've been hearing. I feel like it's necessary as my audience who have seen 3 previous videos on the situation not to cover it would be like a crime. Essentially, I'm put it to you blankly, and then I'll get into the details in a bit. Hypnotist Sappho recently got their Twitter account suspended off of the platform, both their regular main account and their not safe for work account, which had many graphic images that will not be displayed in this video because they are almost borderline illegal. The majority of them were just disgustingly evil, and it's absolutely fantastic how their accounts got suspended, but I'm going to go on to that in a second. Before I get into this video, I'm going to try and take advantage of this December break to try upload more, so if you would like to see more uploads from me, please suggest some ideas that you'd like me to make a video on, and maybe link to some like evidence, context to the situation, or YouTube videos on the situation. It would really help out a lot, but what would also help with the channel is a lot is the fact that 81.3% of you people that are watching this currently are not subscribed, so please, it would do a major thanks just to subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot, and it would really help me with making more uploads and achieving my goal of 5K by February. It would really mean a lot, but without further ado, actually into the video now. Essentially, the situation at hand is the fact that Hypnotist Sappho had both of their Twitter accounts recently suspended for violating Twitter's TOS. Sure, they've been reported many times over, and Twitter's just stepping in now, which it's good, but it's a little late in all honesty. But I mean, it's really better than no action being taken whatsoever. Essentially, you may be thinking, Salty, what is just an account suspension? Why are you making an entire 8-minute to 10-minute to 12-minute video on it? But that's mostly because I want to demonstrate how bad this topic can possibly get. With multiple of the feedbacks from my past videos and the research that I've done into this topic, this suspension really illustrates how bad these situations get and why they should be suspended, because Hypnotist Sappho got suspended for very good reasons. Multiple of them that I want to illustrate in this video, portray, and show to the YouTube audience so that you can formulate your opinion whether this ban was righteous or not, as well as just, you know, looking at Hypnotist Sappho from a viewpoint of someone who hasn't had any knowledge on the situation. Essentially, one of the allegations levied at Hypnotist Sappho was essentially that they are a P3-dophile and that they groom children. Before I actually get into this claim, whether to say it's right or not, it's still alleged. Even if I say it's not true, that's still alleged at that. From the research I've done into the situation and all of the tweets and more so that I have looked at, there has been no evidence to corroborate 100% that Sappho indeed does do that to minors or has an attraction. And the only reason why I'm not 100% sure on that is simply because their account has been suspended, so you cannot physically look at their tweets. You could go back on the archive.org and look back on their tweets, but then again, that's not always very, very trustful. So it's a trustful source, but it might not get you what you need. Essentially, multiple allegations of this, and the Julia situation, which happens earlier, apparently that person did not do that to themselves. There was multiple stories on it and how there were like TikToks about it, but if you'd like me to go back at that saga, you can comment down below and tell me too. But again, all these claims that I've seen over the past 5 days have been very, very alleged, and there's not really been any screenshots or testimonies to back it up, in all honesty. But then again, I would not be entirely surprised because they already like dogs, which it would be just to be a blasphemous allegation just to say, oh, well, they like dogs, so why not like kids? It's blasphemous and it's it's incorrect, but everyone in their fan base literally calls them mommy, which if that's not off-putting, then I don't really know what is. Oh, yes, mommy. Bro, Mommy's some bitch. Now, another thing to move on from that situation is essentially the fact that apparently Hypnotist Sappho had recently been doxxed, which, I need to state this before I get into any of these allegations or any of these informations. Doxing is 100% wrong, no matter who it really is. There's not really an exception. You don't really fight fire with fire now, do you? If you're going to get their public information, you report that to police and their local police area, wherever they reside in, and you find a way to get them fired from their jobs or arrested or anything along those lines. You don't simply post that information online where anything can literally happen to them, because I do not encourage any form of threats online or anything along those lines. But in my opinion, I don't feel like the dox is actually their home or anything. Could very well be possible, but I just don't feel like it's correct, especially because Hypnotist Sappho probably would have been freaking out if it was their home, because people know where they live. And again, Sappho's kind of like insanely stupidly insane. But again, that's a fault for the people that are quote-unquote antis or normal people, as I like to put it. And again, that's not normal to dox people, but like the beliefs are normal. Another thing I want to touch on is someone in my comment section wanted to argue with me about animal consent and along those lines, because they are themselves a zoo, but I didn't know that they were a zoo, so I openly decided I could argue with them for a little bit, get our little tails wagging, as they would probably put it, do a little dipsy-do. And I heard Twitter DMs get involved. I was like, oh, well, this is going to be a hell of a ride, because Twitter and DMs is probably the two worst words that have gone together in history. But essentially, I didn't know they were a zoo up until that point, so yada yada, we bickered back and forth. They kept getting mad that I wouldn't respond early enough because I have a life and a YouTube channel to run. Again, this is not a call on this person. I honestly don't really care, and that's what I'm about to get into. I recently found out they were actually a zoo themselves, so if you're watching this, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. I thought you were simply a normal person that just was an ally of zoos, but I've already seen too many perspectives, from zoos in the past that I really don't need another one. There's simply no point of that, and there's no point arguing with someone who's obviously not going to change their mind. It's what you're attracted to, so you're obviously not going to change it because some YouTuber with 3,000 subscribers is going to tell you to. You see how dumb that sounds? I'm not going to argue with someone when there's no point in changing their minds, and there's no possible way of changing their minds. I will advertise to change your mind through YouTube videos like this, but talking about situations like these, but I'm simply not going to just spend my precious time arguing with you. But I do give props to that person. I think Sappho's shady, which I personally agree with. And one more props to that person, because I don't like giving props to people that are attracted to animals. You had the balls to go in a comment section full of people to say that you were a zoo and you agree with their beliefs, so that either makes you a psychopath or just extreme confidence. You have some cojones. But essentially, residing back to the mommy thing I was talking about earlier, and the minor thing, another thing that would be able to corroborate to that is the fact that their fan base calls them mommy, which would deduce a majority of them are not old, or at least as old as Sappho very much is. Especially because zoophilia isn't something that's new, but it isn't something that's necessarily old either. The law of bestiality has been around for a while now, but arguing over the internet about it and preaching over the internet about it hasn't been a thing. Hasn't been a thing for quite a long time coming now. The last I can remember of this, and this is just my personal memory, was like 4 years ago, which wasn't that long of time span. There's no possible way that these people can be above the age of 18. Through checking people's accounts that call Sappho mommy and are making fan art calling them mommy, they are always under the age of 18, at least from the research I've corroborated. They like animals, they have a child fan base that calls them mommy, and there are allegations of them minors. And with the Julia Carlson situation, if that wasn't just a stunt for publicity for the organization of Zeta, because they hadn't left the organization of Zeta at that time, that was simply a publicity stunt for Sappho to gain more attention, or if that was a real thing, it could corroborate to that fact that they may actually do this. Oh, and might I add that they're kind of influencing minors to become zoos, which could also be seen as another form of manipulating minors. But when you have that big of a platform that Sappho used to have, you can sway a lot of people's opinion. Now, the final thing that I want to touch on in this video, or at least I think the final thing that I want to touch on in this video, is the impersonation. I don't support impersonation, and it's extremely annoying for people like me who are trying to spread information on the situation and give my opinion on it, and also multiple of the topics of the situation. It's extremely annoying to see impersonation, because you're simply making it a worse place for everyone, thinking that this creator has come back to another platform, which is just not good for anyone. It's not funny. You're not making anyone laugh aside from your little closed group of friends, so I really encourage not doing that. Extremely annoying for us content creators or even regular people that want to keep up with the situation. That wasn't the final thing I wanted to touch on. There was a screenshot that I literally just came across of Sappho on their Not Safe for Work account stating that they are into cubs, which is another thing that could corroborate to the fact of them being a child group. I had a weird mic problem, but essentially that could corroborate to that. So, cubs, you likely know what they are. They are simply animals, but like children, and it's always called something different in every species, but in majority of them, like lion cubs, that's a good example. Lion cubs are cubs, they're just lions, but younger. But for those stating, and this is if you've seen the image, I'm not gonna link it down below, but you will just have to search up Hypnotist Sappho's Twitter @ and scroll down for a little bit, and you would essentially find it. I'm not encouraging you to go find that because it's explicit material that you should not be viewing. For the sake of this video, I need to reference it. Now, multiple people in the replies of the person that posted this image on Twitter as their account, as like Sappho's account was being deleted, argued that it's not CP nor is it illegal, but this is essentially the place that Sappho resides in. The U.S.'s laws on cheese pizza. Images of child are not protected under First Amendment rights and are illegal contraband under federal law. Section 2256 of Title 18 United States Code defines child as any visual depiction of explicit conduct involving a minor. Visual depictions include photographs, videos, digital or computer-generated images indistinguishable from an actual minor, and images created, adapted, or modified but appear to be depict an identifiable actual minor. Undeveloped film, undeveloped videotape, and electronically stored data that can be covered into a visual image of child are also deemed illegal visual depictions under federal law. From Stupid People Talk, which is my most fluent language, if an image, video, or anything along those lines is indistinguishable from a minor, that essentially means that it is cheese pizza. In one of these images, it's essentially literally just a literal child with furry ears. The anatomy is indistinguishable from a child as well as the genitalia. I'm not accusing Sappho of anything along those lines. I'm simply just stating that you're getting a little borderline or risky. But with all that out of the way, I'm done with this video. It's actually only 3 o'clock. I thought I wouldn't be done, so I do have a lot of time to edit this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, then like and subscribe because that would really help out the channel, and liking and commenting would really push out the video throughout the algorithm, which would really mean a lot. Alright, see ya.